Welcome back to I Love Old School Music. Today, we're taking it back to a group that had the airwaves on lock in the 90s, H-Town, as well as the now-grown daughter of Dino Connor, H-Town's lead singer who sadly passed away years ago, and the famous wealthy white sports legend who adopted her after Dino's passing. But before we get into all that, don't forget to hit that like button, share this video, and if you haven't already, hit subscribe and tap that notification bell to stay up on these old school gems we dropping. Okay, so y'all remember when H-Town dropped that smash hit, Knockin' the Boots? They had everybody and their mamas singing that song. H-Town didn't stop there though. After Knockin' the Boots, they hit us with Emotions, Part-Time Lover, and their unforgettable remake of A Thin Line Between Love and Hate with Shirley Murdoch and Roger Troutman and more. These dudes were the truth, and they solidified their spot in the R&B game while bringing some romance to Luther Campbell's Luke records. But sadly, there was some extreme heartache and tragedy ahead for the fellas from Houston, Texas. H-Town's lead singer, Kevin Dino Connor, passed away in 2003 in a car accident along with his pregnant fiancée, Tasha, and their unborn child. He was only 28 years old, and the R&B world lost one of its most soulful voices of that era. Dino was survived by his daughter, who thankfully was not in the car with he and his fiancé on that tragic night. Her name is Kaja Rose, and she is approximately 27 years old and continuing her dad's legacy in her own way. She is gorgeous and looks like her father's mini-me, as y'all can see. Side by side, her photo looks exactly like Dino with long hair. Well, in a beautifully feminine sort of way, of course. Kaja inherited the singing ability of her pops. And y'all can also check out Kaja Rose's music on Spotify and other streaming platforms.
Listen like it, can't fake it. You made me blossom like a flower in your payment. I was saving whatever it is. We can rebuild. The insecurities don't make me ill. Gratitude, solitude. I run away like the others do.
Not only did she get her pop's singing chops, she also inherited it from her uncle Solomon, Dino's brother and H-Town group member, whom she seems pretty close to these days as well. Kaja is biracial. Her mother, Jessica Ditzel, is white and had a relationship with Dino back in the day. But we'll fill y'all in on her in a minute. First, let's get to the very famous sports legend who adopted Kaja after Dino's passing. That would be Joe Rogan, who's mostly known as the top UFC commentator, as well as for having the largest sports podcast in history thus far, with roughly 3 billion listeners. Now, speaking of Joe Rogan, he's not only known for his podcast and UFC commentary, but also for stirring up controversy. Recently, he's been making headlines because of his comments about Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. Rogan has been critical of both. In an interview with comedian Tom Segura, Rogan attempted to downgrade Harris's intellect and accomplishments, stating whoever's coaching her, whoever's the puppet master running the strings is doing a effing amazing job. In another interview with political commentator Michael Malice, Joe said Kamala Harris was the worst and that he was concerned that people suddenly view her as a hero and solution. He also bashed Trump too, though. In 2022, Joe told the Lex Fridman podcast that he was, and I quote, not a Trump supporter in any way, shape, or form. He then revealed that he previously had the opportunity to have Trump on his show more than once. However, Joe said no every time because he says he didn't want to help Trump because with 3 billion listeners, he knows his podcast can revitalize and rehabilitate Trump's public image in a major way, as Joe put it. He also referred to Trump as an existential threat to democracy. Anywho, as far as the mother of Dino's daughter, Jessica Ditzel, at the time of Dino's untimely death in 2003, many fans were confused as to whether or not it was Jessica in the car with him on that tragic night. So we want to make it clear that Kaja's mother, Jessica, was not in the car accident with Dino. Again, the only young lady who was in the car with Dino that heartbreaking night was his fiancée, Tasha. 6 years after Dino's passing, Jessica married Joe Rogan in 2009. Kajia was still pretty young at that time, so her mom and Joe decided that Joe would adopt Kajia and help raise her into the young woman she is today. And Jessica and Joe are still happily married to this day. Even though we lost Dino, the remaining members, his brother Solomon, and their group mate Daryl Jackson are still keeping that H-Town legacy alive. They continue to tour with various artists like Drew Hill, Jagged Edge, Case, and more. Seeing artists from back in the day still doing their thing and selling out shows is always a beautiful thing. Pretty sure Dino Connor would have been proud of his fellow members, and of course, he'd be proud of the woman and artist that his daughter, Kajia Rose, has become today. May Dino Connor, his fiancée Tasha, and their baby continue to rest in eternal peace. To stay up on what's happening with your favorite old school celebs, be sure to tap that notification bell and subscribe button underneath this video. And if you're digging this video, feel free to like, comment, and share it with your people. Thanks for watching. I love old school music, old school news with a new point of view.